Okay, so for those of you that don't know Prince, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of his background. He got into video after being inspired by Bam Margera and CKY, which some of you may recognize, some of you may not. But for those of you that don't, look him up later. Be careful. Yeah, do be careful. Maybe do it in your private browser. Those of you that know him get that. Anyways, Prince leveraged his video skills to start a video production company, and they did a bunch of brand work, a bunch of corporate work, and so he learned a ton about visual storytelling and video, but he also didn't love it all that much because corporate video isn't always the most fun, much like Casey shared yesterday. But he did make enough money to get by for a while making some art, and that was when this idea for the art of visuals hit him. So I want to pick up the story there because there's no point in just making Prince recount his background. I want to get into the meat of it. So I want to start right there where you found this idea for art of visuals, and I think you were in San Francisco at the time?
Right.
Yeah, so tell us about how it got started.
So basically, AOV was birthed with the vision to basically create tools and resources to really empower a global community of content creators. And to basically inspire them and empower them and to be this guiding force behind them.
Right.
With you guys being, many of you guys are content creators and artists, and we all know it can be very lonely at times, and sometimes you wish that you just had someone there to kind of just keep tapping you on the bottom and pushing you forward and giving you the tools and the resources you guys need to, to create and to grow and to reach that destination. And so, we were artists ourselves, and we knew what we needed, and so we just went ahead and said, hey, we're gonna do this for everyone. And we also realized, like, we're in the middle of a renaissance right now, and there's more creators being birthed every day than ever before, and we live in this time to where when I was young, it wasn't cool to be an artist, and now like my intern's like the coolest kid in his high school because he's got 20,000 followers, and he's an awesome photographer, and that just like makes me so happy. To see that the creators were finally getting our swagger back, and
she knows what that swagger's about. That's what I'm talking about.
And so that's why we do what we do, and that's how AOV is kind of birthed.
Yeah, I love that. He had a great interview on the podcast, didn't he? Your intern who's in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's good.
Kyle Kerr.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to the podcast, you should. So. What made y'all choose Instagram as the platform? Because there's a bunch of different places you could have shared art, right? Mm-hmm. YouTube, blogging, all of these different places, but you chose Instagram as kind of the starting point. So what made that the right place to build an audience?
Instagram was kind of just an easy choice. As many of you guys know, it's a visual platform, and it's all about visuals. First and foremost, and text and everything else kind of comes second to the visuals. So for us, wanting to empower and inspire people around the world with great content, it made sense for us to go on a platform to where the art could shine. And also another reason, at the time, I wasn't the best writer in the world, and I was like, I shouldn't be on, I should be on Facebook doing these long writing posts. What do I know really well? It's photo and video. And so we chose a platform that would allow our talents to just really shine.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talk about Instagram being a visual-first platform. I think one of the things that can be the most challenging when you're getting started as a creator, especially in a visual medium, is what makes a visual resonate with someone versus what makes something kind of fall off and not resonate with anyone. And now with algorithms playing a role especially, it's that much more important to know what makes a photo really hit home with someone. So what are the different elements that play into that?
Right. So, it's a complicated question. I think it really depends on what you're doing. But in general, any type of image that evokes some type of emotion is a good image. Any image that makes you laugh, cry, angry, whatever it may be, as long as that image stops someone and makes you feel something, then you've done something right. And that's always the goal when you put out content. And that's the same thing with video and same thing with writing. When you write, you don't want people to read your writing and just say, oh, okay, like that's bland. You want them to feel something, because if they feel something, that's when they share, that's when they tell other people, and that's when they keep coming back. They sign up for other things. And so I think every time you put out a piece of content, it's always important to really try to make people feel something with that content.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're you're looking at potential images for the art of visuals community. What are you looking for when you're choosing what to share on the feed? Because the feed's got so many followers, and you could share pretty much anything.
Right.
But what are you looking for? What are the elements you look for in an image?
Elements, I mean, well, first and foremost, it has to stop me. So when I'm scrolling through images and I'm looking through images on our app, or I'm looking on images through our hashtags, if it doesn't just stop me in my tracks, then it's not worthy. And there's a lot of great images that look good, but they don't have that emotion. It's just a really pretty picture, and there's lots of pretty pictures. And so we're always kind of looking for something special. On top of that, I think it's important, to find images that, we're looking for good composition, good tones, color science, play on colors, aesthetics, all these, there's so many different things, balance and symmetry and all these different things that we're looking for in images. And I think it's important for you guys as content creators to think about that. All you guys work in all these different spaces, and I'm sure you guys, everyone's putting out content, but if you guys took a little bit of time to understand the art of creating content and the science of creating content, understanding symmetry, understanding composition, where to stand in a photo, where to stand in a video, how wide should the video be, how close should you be to the camera, where should your product be placed, what color background should you have, what t-shirt should you have on. There's all these things that play into creating content that most people don't think about, but if you guys spent a little more time thinking about that, it would give you a huge leg up on your competitors, and your community would probably really love the content a lot more and engage with it a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I know I can say for my Instagram feed, which I put no thought into as far as all those things are concerned, it's just like, oh, that's cool, and then there it is. So if that's the normal competition or the normal behavior on Instagram, it makes sense that if you put that kind of thought into it, it would work. I always know when Art of Visuals is coming up in my feed, because it's stunning, it's beautiful.
Banger.
Yeah, exactly, it's a banger. Yeah, exactly, yes. So I think most people, when they think about becoming creators, I kind of asked a form of this question of Casey yesterday. It's like, okay, you wake up every day and your job is to make art. Mm-hmm. That can be a stressful problem to try and solve for, especially if you get in this mode of questioning yourself, imposter syndrome, just all the challenges creators have, right? You've taken a different approach, though. You actually don't create all of the images that you're sharing, but you have this special sauce that you've had where you can go find the right stuff that makes up the Art of Visuals feed. So what's the approach that you've taken to get the imagery without being the creator, but being a curator instead?
Right. So for us, it was important. I mean, we've already been the creators, so we've already been the guys behind the camera, and we did that thing. Yeah. And we pioneered a lot of that stuff in different spaces. And so for us, it was really important this time to really build a real community. And for us to do that, it had to be community content. It couldn't be about us. It was never meant to be about us. It was meant to get other people's work discovered and to get other people's work out there and to rally people around us. And although it is extremely difficult to consistently pump out content, it's also just as hard to curate the content. Yeah. I mean, we spend so much time shifting through content and finding content, but it's really beautiful because it really allows your community to get behind it. And we have community members that write for us on the blog posts. I have community members that are on the podcast with me, community members that we're featuring constantly on our Instagram and our mobile application. We have our live events where we're putting their art in galleries. And when you include people in all these different levels and all these different things, they get excited and they share it and they're telling all their friends and they're stoked because they're in the magazine, they're in this and they're in that. And your content travels light years further and faster than it ever could if it's just about you as one person. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of why we chose to curate.
Yeah, in a way you've made it so multi-platform. You have content so many different places and so many different ways to feature creators. I mean, it's got to be inspiring to them. One of the things that I would imagine could create some tension there is, wait, so aren't you benefiting from my work? How do you kind of handle that relationship with creators between Art of Visuals being the platform that shares a lot of this stuff and them being the creators? There could be tension, but there's not. There's this like deep passion for a shared mission actually in the Art of Visuals community. So how did you balance, how did you create that?
So in our community, everyone wins. And I think that's important. It's important to be transparent with your audience and just to, people's BS radars nowadays are they're buzzing at an all-time high. And so it's silly to even try to play or gimmick or do anything. The best thing you can possibly do is to just be 100% honest with your community and let them know what you're doing, how you're making money, how it affects them, and how all this works, right? And so for us, everyone wins. We build this massive platform. We have all these followers. We work with major global brands, and we can distribute content to them. The artists are stoked because they're getting tons of eyes on their content, and they're getting hired. Like, we share artists' work, and then brands contact those artists and say, hey, we saw you on Art of Visuals. We want to work with you. On top of that, we have lots of programs where we do revenue share through our editing tools. We paid back over $65,000 to our audience just last year alone.
Dang.
To artists that sell products on our website, and we give them the commission. It's like, hey, you guys have great art. People want to create art like your art. You guys don't have a platform. We do have a platform. You guys are constantly coming to me complaining about how you can't make money, and we figured out a way to at least put some type of residual income in your pocket. So I have kids that are 16 years old making $500-600 a month. Every month from Art of Visuals, and I have some guys that are making $2,000-3,000, you know, that are really crushing it, depending on the month. So it's very, we all look out for each other. Like, it is a real community, and we're all here for each other, and we're very honest and just forward with each other. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And you've kind of taken the show on the road over time. So you've done much, it's not just digital. So what are some of the things you've done to inspire that? I mean, you mentioned some of them, the rev share, the events, stuff like that, but is there one example that really sticks out to you that is kind of the embodiment of why the community is so thriving?
Yeah, I think, so the first major thing we ever did was we took all of this beautiful artwork that we were sharing from our community on Instagram, and we kind of did something that everyone said was dead. We made a print book, and this is spring 2016. And we took, I don't even know, maybe 300 images from the community, and we made this beautiful, thick print book. And we went out to San Francisco, and we said, hey, we're going to make this print book for the community. We're going to go out to San Francisco. We're going to throw a gallery event, and we're going to see how real this thing is that we built. We had never done a live event. And for us, you know, it's cool to have a ton of followers, and all that stuff's great, but you don't really know what you have until you go to a city and you ask your community to come out and see you and engage with you. And we ended up selling out this venue. We had over 350 people show up. We had a 16-year-old kid that his mother drove him from LA to San Francisco, and he didn't read the flyer, and the party was 21 and up. And I felt terrible, but at the same time, I was like, this is insane. They drove from LA to come be here with us, and, you know, so we gave him a stack of magazines, and but for us, that was a huge thing, and, you know, we got a lot of PR from that. Huffington Post wrote about us. You know, Art of Visuals brings Instagram to life, and that was like our first time we took this whole digital community and digital art and all this stuff and brought it into the real world. And for us, that was the catalyst that, wow, like, we have built something special. Like, look at all these people having the time of their lives, and, you know, it's because of what we started.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. I bet that kid was
And it's
crushed.
awesome. It's like same for you guys. All you beautiful, amazing people are here, you know, for Seva, right? Yeah. And that means a lot to be able to throw a conference and people to show up and fly in from all over the world. I sat on the plane with Joni, and it's awesome. Like, that's got to make you guys feel insane.
Oh, it feels amazing. Good. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can relate to that. Bringing people together. There's just something you can't get digitally. You can't get it. So it would have been easy, though, for you to just settle into Instagram as the thing. But y'all built an app, too. So what role has the app played in building the community?
You just listen, man, to be honest. We've always wanted an app. Who doesn't want an app, right? Every young guy's like, I was like watching Silicon Valley, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to build an app. What's the app going to be? I don't know, but we're going to build one of those. It's really expensive, just so you guys know. I mean, we lost like $60,000 on a bad hire, and that really hurt us, and we had to kind of restart the app and everything all over again. And so it's not easy, but we just knew it was something that we needed to do. The community had so many so many challenges that they were facing on Instagram and things they didn't like, and Instagram kept changing. It used to be this platform that was for artists, and then it became more and more mainstream, and they started changing all these things, and they made it difficult for artists to do what they wanted to do. And so we felt the need as you know, the all-encompassing community to step in and say, hey, don't worry, we got you guys. Like, we're gonna build a home for us that's by us. You'll never have to worry about all these other things that you guys don't like. So we built our app, and it's in beta right now. We don't promote the app at all, but we have 26,000 users on the app.
Wow.
It's been shared word of mouth, and like Casey was talking about, we didn't take in any venture capital or anything like that. We've been approached, and the most special thing for me is like we get to build this thing organically. Like, this is real. And if there's one thing I know about growth, is organic growth lasts. And it'll be here 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. But when you're trying to play the game and create artificial growth and do all these stuff, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think everyone has their choice. But for me, that'll, will grow faster, we'll be able to make more money faster and all this stuff. I was like, but then it's gonna lose its soul. It's gonna fall flat, right? It's not gonna have that real, because it's not real. We artificially inflated it. We were taking steroids instead of going to the gym every day.
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't mind going to the gym every day and just putting in that,
I like the metaphor there. No, that resonates with us. I mean, we're all about, we think of ourselves that way, by creators, for creators. We're independent, bootstrapped, always will be 100% independent. That's just how we roll around here. We think that's better business. But anyways, if there's any venture capitalists out there, I'm sorry. We still like you. Thank you for coming. Okay, so we talked about imagery. Talked about community. It's not a natural thing necessarily for those two things, art and community, to come together to create money. But you've also found a way to make a living from this. That wasn't always the case. So how'd you go from, okay, I've got the art and I've got the community, to, okay, now I can make a living and really pour my heart and soul into this over time?
Well, A of E, we've been making money since the beginning. But prior to that, I had a lot of difficulty trying to make money with other, communities and other things that I had built. And I think it was more or less because it was more ego-driven. I wasn't really, a lot of us, we have these ideas, and we think our ideas are so great, and we put all this time and effort into launching products. And we don't even ask for feedback. We don't care. And if we do ask for feedback, we ask terrible questions, because you just want them to basically tell you that your product's great. What do you like about this? Oh, well, I like this. You don't want anyone to say anything bad about what you're doing. And so I built a lot of companies and products that way, and made a little bit of money here and there, but never really got any traction because it didn't really solve a real problem. So when we started, Art of Visuals, it was important for us to make sure that we were getting tons of feedback. It was important for us to go out and travel to cities like San Francisco, New York, and hang out with our community and really understand what it is that they need. Because online, it's really easy to get shallow feedback to where people are like, oh, no, everything's great. I love what you guys do. And that doesn't help you at all. You really have to get to that deeper meaning. But we live in a society where everyone wants to be nice. No one wants to hurt any feelings. And so I found that I have to just go immerse myself into the scene and just be with my people. And I learn from them, and I just listen to conversations, and I'm overhearing things. And I take that feedback, and we've been able to come back and build real products that deliver real value, that really enhance their lives, and that people are willing to pay for. And then the other side of the business, too, is being open to other revenue opportunities. So when we started Art of Visuals, I told myself I never wanted to get back into the agency business. Here we are today, we have a creative agency, and we work with some of the top brands around the world, launching new products, creating social-first content, doing digital marketing for them. And for me, it was more of a long-term play. I was like, if I can make more revenue off the back end from our B2B business, and I can just stay cool with my community, then I'd much rather be able to give our tools and everything away for free, and just continue to do awesome events and empower these people and truly be there and just be transparent with them. It's like, hey, we're taxing these guys so that we can continue to empower you guys and do all this stuff for free. This app and all this stuff we built for you isn't free. It costs a lot of money, and we have to pay for it somehow. But we'd rather charge these guys by doing these things so that you guys can continue to use your money and resources and invest in yourself in whatever way you guys see fit. And so that's what I was talking about earlier about just being transparent and honest with your community, and it's resonated.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting how there's different scenarios where we'll be willing to accept circumstances like being an agency because it empowers all this other work over here and it makes that feel better. It's also fascinating how if you solve real problems with real solutions, people are willing to pay money for it. It's just a weird thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so last question here. I think it's really easy to look at Instagram, to look at social media as this tool that creates shallowness, it promotes fakeness, it creates these mental health challenges for a lot of people. But one of the things that I love about Art of Visuals is that I think you found a way to make it a really positive force in people's lives. I love those photos. It calms me down, it connects me back to like something outside of work and in the natural world that I can connect to. So I guess what's your perspective on how we can be using platforms like Instagram as a positive force for good in people's lives?
I think all social media can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
I also think social media is a tool, and we all use it differently, right? And so for us, I think it's important, especially with the community-based business, I think it's so important early on to create a real culture and to create a digital culture. And when people, you know, in our early days, like we had a few guys that would get on there and make rude comments on people's photos and do things. And I was like, I'm not having that. Right away, I would jump in there and be like, hey, dude, you know, and I'm not trying to make him look bad in front of anyone, but I'm just directly, I'll DM them a lot of times and be like, hey, man, saw your comment, not cool. That's not how we roll here. We're all about love and picking each other up and doing these types of things. And over time, it's built this really tight-knit culture of love and picking each other up. And it's more or less made like this brotherhood and sisterhood to where it's like we're all creators. We're not challenging each other. This isn't about who's better than who. Yep. This is just about love and moving the movement forward. And I mean, I couldn't imagine what it would be like to have, you know, 1.5 million followers and to have tons of trolls and all this negativity and crazy stuff happening. And it's mind-blowing to me that when you get on our platforms, you don't see any of that. And every now and again, there might be a guy who's kind of new and pops in and says something rude. And now I don't say anything because the community is just like, they just like swarm. And there's like this, it's like, get the bacteria out. And they're just like, and those guys just disappear. And it's so cool. And it makes me so happy. I'm just like, dude, like, this is cool. They police themselves. They just take care of everything because it's real.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, you planted the seeds. You created a culture, and I think it's the kind of ethos that we want to live by here, you know? We want to lift each other up. We're all creators, and we're all in this together, and I think there couldn't be a better message to end on. So, cool. Prince, thank you.
Brother.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you,
Love Prince, y'all.
Appreciate it.